you're confused, this interview was supposed to happen earlier, but we had to switch things. So we appreciate Tim Sylvia stopping by. Tim announced his retirement on Saturday night. A great career, former UFC heavyweight champion, and he announced this, so we wanted to talk to him about that and a whole lot more. Tim, are you there? Tim? Tim Sylvia, are you there? I'm going to guess he's not there. We went a little long. Maybe he got tired of the calendar talk. What do you think? We'll call him right now. But yes, it's true. Tim Sylvia did retire on Saturday. How about that? Ends his career 31-10-1. UFC heavyweight champion back in the day. When did he first win the championship? Let's go back. UFC 41. 15-0, defeated Rico Rodriguez. Then defeated Gan McGee. Of course, we all remember the Randy Couture fight. Made his MMA debut in 2001. Last fought in October of 2013. So we're talking about a 12-year career. He is currently 38 years old, about to turn 39. One of those guys who, of course, was a part of the Miltich Fighting Systems. And now we have him. Tim, are you there?
I am here.
Hey, Tim. Sorry about that. Sorry for the delay. Thank you very much.
All right. You're right. He was on a roll, man. I just let him roll.
Yeah. You can't stop that guy. But we want to talk about you now. So you made the announcement on Saturday night. Why? Why'd you decide to retire?
To tell you the truth, I'm getting old, man. That was kind of going to be my retirement fight. It was on the East Coast, and I was going to have a lot of friends and family there and stuff. And I kind of pointed out the other day it's going to be my retirement fight. And then, this is the second fight that I've had problems where the fight before this, I was supposed to fight in Maine, and I hurt my knee. And then now, this MRI, and it was really irritating is I could have fought with the Athletic Commission in Connecticut. They're a pain in the ass. And they saw a suspect of concussions or whatever. I'm like, yeah, I've been fighting for 16 years, played semi-pro football for 3 years. I've had some concussions. I think if you look at any fighter after 16 years, he's going to have that on his brain. So, that was what happened, and they said they weren't going to clear me a fight. So they just said they just want me to get a second opinion, another MRI, and I just said, well, to tell you the truth, I'm pretty much going to be done anyway, so this just kind of put the nail in the coffin.
So explain to us what happened, because you weighed in, right? You were clear to fight, and then when did the results come up, and then them tell you that
9 o'clock.
Yep, go ahead.
9 o'clock that night, Joe Cup called me and said the Athletic Commission wanted to speak with me. I called them, and they wanted me to meet downstairs, and they wanted to have a neurologist speak to me. So I went down there, and that's what they told me.
And is it a little disappointing? I mean, win or lose, you kind of wanted to get that one last fight under your belt. The fact that it ends this way, is that a little bit disappointing?
Yeah, of course it's disappointing, I'm just at a point, where I still love to fight. And if there's some way we could start a league where former guys that used to fight that just on agreement will step in a cage without training and fight, see what happens, let's do that. But it's just, the 8-week training camp, I just can't do anymore. It's just too hard on the body. Can't do it. It's too old.
And you didn't want to get one more in there to actually go out with a fight.
Well, absolutely. That's what I want to do, and that was the plan.
No, but I mean, once this couldn't, come through for you.
You mean once I get everything cleared?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I mean, I got to spend another $1,500 on an MRI just to say, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, right now I'm retired.
Yeah.
The Athletic Commission is going to send all my MRIs to a neurologist here in Davenport, Iowa, who's a friend of Monty's and some other guys that I know, and have him look at him and see what he has to say.
What did the MRI say?
They just said they saw white spots
on
my brain, and that's caused from fighting or concussions or trauma to the head. Like I said, any other fighter is going to have the same thing after he's done this for 16 years. So that's what it said, and they just didn't feel comfortable letting me fight because they knew exactly what it was. They did say it wasn't blood, so that's one good thing. But
So, given this day and age where there's a lot of talk about concussions and all that stuff, are you at all concerned about your future,
no,
your health?
no, not really.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not gonna go in and join K1 and fight 6 to 10 fights in K1 just because I know there's a lot of head trauma in K1. I'm not gonna do boxing now. To be honest with you, Saturday night was a perfect opponent for me. He's a BJJ guy. His whole goal is to get the fight to the ground. So I didn't really see a lot of punches being thrown from him. I saw him doing some kicking and trying to close the distance and get the fight to the ground. So I just thought it was a good fight, and I was going to be happy with the way everything went. But I didn't get a chance to do it.
Were concussions a big thing for you later on in your career? Is this something you've been battling?
No, never.
Okay.
The only concussions I know of is, I had the one with Arlovski the third time that I fought. And I'm assuming when you get knocked out, that's a concussion. So, Ray Mercer. So I'm assuming too. I did a lot of hitting when I was in football, and I've done a lot of heavy sparring. So, I don't know if I had a concussion anytime during sparring or that I didn't see any symptoms from it. But, I've been rocked before in a few fights and stuff like that. And I don't know if that's some of the things that cause those little, some of the trauma on the brain that comes up in the MRI. No, I really couldn't tell you.
Is it true that you weighed in at 371 pounds for this fight?
No, not at all. The scale went to 350, and that's where it was rocking. And I said, I was like 371 a month ago, and they said, okay, 371. I'm like, well, I'm 371 now. So I was probably 350, whatever.
And are you? Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, when I walked around when I was fighting in the UFC competitively, I was walking around 300 pounds.
Right.
And then once fight camp started, I was 285, 280 when I get to the UFC and cut 15 pounds. So it's usually my usual routine.
So what do you think like right now, what do you think you weigh?
Probably 355 right now.
And is that what you would like to be at as far as the rest of your life is concerned, or
no, absolutely not. I mean, it's been hunting season, man. I haven't trained. It's hunting season. I eat biscuits and gravy in the morning and eggs, and we have bacon, and then we make chili, or it's just hunting season. I've been hunting since October, and just haven't had a chance to work out. Hunting's more important to me right now. So I'm just doing a hunting show. It's probably going to air 2016 on either the Outdoor Channel, the Pursuit Channel, or Sportsman Channel, one of the three. And I just been busy with that, filming for that, and just other things, priorities in life now. Like I said, I still love to fight. It's just, doing the 8-week training camp, getting in shape, dieting, stuff like that. I just don't have the drive to do that anymore.
So you're on your farm right now?
I'm headed there right now. I was supposed to get in at 9 o'clock this morning from Connecticut. I was on the tarmac until 9:30, so I missed my first flight. Then they told me there wasn't going to be enough flight until 8 o'clock tonight, so I jumped in a car and drove home from Chicago. And right when you guys called me, I was literally pulling in my driveway, so I had to load up my girlfriend and my son and my cameraman, and I had to run the plow real quick because we got about 4 inches of snow, so I had to plow the walk in the driveway and bring the trash outside for the trash collector, and then I'll jump in the truck and head 2 hours down to the farm and try to get in the tree stand the night before deer come out.
Wow, that's and by the way, I really appreciate you doing the show in the midst of all of that. So where exactly do you live now?
I still live in Davenport, Iowa.
Okay. And
that's my home. I got a house there that I bought, and I have a 100-acre farm down southeast Iowa. I built a cabin on that after the Fedor fight stuff. So that's where we're headed now. We'll be there for 3 days.
And what do you have on this farm?
It's strictly for hunting only.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yep. So I highly manage it for deer hunting and turkey hunting, tree stands and box lines, and I leave upstanding corn and standing beans. And late season is just a recipe for big deer, and a lot of them in front of you, and you just pick and choose when you want to kill and eat.
So you're about to turn 39. You've just retired from a very long career, successful career. What are you going to do now for the rest of your life?
Be a dad. Hopefully everything goes right. In the hunting industry, everything works out for me. and that'll be the next chapter in my life.
And I mean, do you feel like you're comfortable? Do you feel like you have to go out and get a job? How are you going to support this
Well,
family?
I do have a job. I worked a job this summer. Work for a construction company. I'm a project manager. I just oversee, we work on a lot of big scale stuff in the Chicago area and stuff. So got a company truck, and I go up there and make sure the job's being done right. That's my duties. So it's a pretty good gig. No physical labor. I just oversee jobs. As a production manager, make good money doing it.
And so that's what you'll continue to do.
Yeah, I was in the construction field before I started fighting. I had my own business back in Maine and stuff, so pretty familiar with it.
Are you interested in remaining in MMA, coaching guys, doing anything like that?
No, not at all.
Done. No more MMA.
Well, I'm still going to train, absolutely still grapple and stuff. But it's just, I saw what Pat went through, and I see Spencer trying to do it, and Jen's trying to do it and stuff, and it takes up a lot of your time, and it's just, we don't have what we used to have anymore in Iowa. We don't have the talent there anymore. There's so many other better gyms that have a lot of great talent, and all the up-and-comers are already spoken for.
When you look back on your career now that it's that it's over, what was the highlight of Tim Sylvia's career? What's the moment that sticks out? You were on top of the world. You've never felt like that before.
Just our team. We had a really good team, and we made some good friendships and stuff, and had a good time. Obviously winning world titles and being next to other teammates who are world champions and stuff, and making some good friends along the way and stuff like that.
Biggest regret?
What
was the biggest regret?
I don't know if I have a biggest regret, to be honest with you. There were some fights I would have liked to take it back. But other than that, I don't know if I really have any regrets, to be honest with you.
What about a fight that you couldn't get that you really wanted? Is there a guy that...
I knew you were going to ask me that. I already have it all. I don't want to fight Frank Mir. That was the one thing left that I would have liked to have done. I would have liked to have, been on the UFC main card against Frank Mir or something, or another shot against Nogueira or something like that. But I just feel that Frank Mir and I have unfinished business. He's at the end of his career, and he's looking at retirement stuff. I'm sure he's got nothing to prove. He beat me, but it's just a fight I've always wanted. And I know there isn't a day that doesn't go by on my Twitter where some fan wants to see that fight, or whenever I do appearances, people always talk about that fight. How courageous or stupid, whatever you want to call it, I was when I didn't tap and wanted to keep fighting.
What's it like for you to see guys like Andrei Arlovski, who you have a long history with, and other guys that you fought in the same era as, continuing to fight, and like Arlovski, thriving at this point? Does that make you, oh man, if I would have done this or that differently, or I could still be out there? How do you react to that?
The only thing, keeping me from the UFC is Dana White. I think I still have, when I was down in the top team training for fights, I was hanging with the top 10 guys in the world and giving them all they could handle and beating up guys that would just sign UFC contracts and stuff. So, me in shape at 265, am I going to beat Cain Velasquez or Junior Dos Santos? No. Am I going to put on good fights against Stephen Struve, Matt Mitrione, Frank Mears? Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I told everybody, back in the day when I was trying to get back into UFC, I don't care about world titles. I've won them, I just want to compete and be in front of the fans and have a good time doing it. Fighting for world titles is pretty stressful. You have a lot of stress on your shoulders, the 5-minute rounds and so on and so forth. When I was fighting the 3-minute rounds, it was fun. You just train for a fight, get in there and fight. It's less stressful for sure.
So why do you say Dana White is holding you back from rejoining the UFC? Why is there an issue between you two?
He's got it out for me ever since the whole Affliction thing. A lot of people don't know it, but I was back in the UFC. I was signed. They sent me a contract to fight Daniel Cormier in Strikeforce, and then the contract read, win or lose, Tim will have 2 fights in the UFC after the fight against Daniel Cormier when Strikeforce is going to fold up. They sent us a contract. We had signed it. We sent it back. And Dana White decided to be a dickhead and change his mind and say, no, you know what? We changed our mind. We don't want Tim back.
And did you get a reason why?
He's just a dick.
That's
he
it.
doesn't like me, and I'm not a yes ass, and I'm not a yes man type of person, you know.
Did you try to reach out to him to clear the air? I mean, that would have been a big opportunity, obviously. I remember that story.
Yeah, and you actually called me and wanted to talk about it. We just found it was better at the time not to talk about it and not tell everybody what, you know, the bullshit that he pulled. But, no, never reached out to him. I just said, you know, it is what it is. He wants to be like that. Screw him, you know.
How do you think that fight against Cormier would have gone?
If I laid a hand on him, you know, I had the potential to knock anybody out, but he's a beast, man. I didn't see him losing it to John Jones. I actually picked him to win. You know, I told everybody it was going to be one of the toughest fights of my life. You know, basically it was me fighting Randy Couture again, but somebody had better hands. It was going to be a very, very tough fight for me. I would obviously have to try to hit him and you know, hurt him and try to capitalize on him. Am I going to out-wrestle him? No, not at all. I told everybody, you know, I think DC was, you know, the King Velasquez at 205. But John Jones really stepped up the other night and put a whooping on him, and I was really surprised the fight went that way.
Now, I'm not asking, do you think you will get in? I'm asking, do you think you should be in? Do you think you should be in the UFC Hall of Fame?
I don't give a shit about it, to be honest with you.
You knew what I was going to ask.
Yeah, I had a feeling you were going to ask. It's who Dana White thinks is in the UFC. I mean, it has nothing to do with fans. It has nothing to do with press, media, anything like that. It's whoever Dana White likes time and puts in the Hall of Fame. I mean, really, Frank Shamrock's not in the Hall of Fame. That's just the dumbest thing on the planet. Guy like Stephan Bonner is. I love Stephan. He's a hell of a fighter. He's never a world champion. How is a guy like Stephan Bonner deserve to be in the UFC and Frank Shamrock doesn't? Obviously, it's because Frank Shamrock has had choice words to say about Dana White, and so Dana White says, I'm not putting him in the UFC. So in the UFC Hall of Fame, I mean, that's all it is. It's whoever Dana White wants to be in the UFC Hall of Fame. It's got nothing to do with the fans or anything like that.
Do you think you had a Hall of Fame worthy career?
Oh, absolutely. No doubt about it.
So if there was maybe some kind of non-UFC, like an MMA Hall of Fame, that would make more sense in your opinion?
Absolutely. Definitely.
Would you like to see something like that happen?
I would like to see a fighters union happen. You know, I mean, MMA Hall of Fame, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the sport's so new. I mean, what is it, 14 years old?
Well,
I mean, I'm
21 since the UFC's been around.
Well, okay, yeah. Well, geez, I didn't really realize it's been that long, but yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah, it has been. I mean, Zuffa's been around, you know, for around 14 years or so.
Yeah, I actually started watching it, back in '92, I think. So, yeah, that was the whole big thing. All the friends were talking about this Boy Spacey guy, this little guy beating up all these little big guys. And I kept going to Blockbuster trying to rent the video, and it was out all the time. And finally, I got lucky. Went in there, I saw it, and I rushed home and watched it. I was like, oh my God, I'm hooked.
Oh, I know that feeling. Now, why do you say Fighters Union? Why is that something you want to see? And do you think we'll ever see it?
I don't know. You know, the UFC is so powerful right now, and they have the monopoly going on. And whenever somebody, you know, steps up is actually competing against them, they end up buying them out and stuff. Or anybody threatens to, you know, be competition, they end up buying them out or whatever. So I don't know. It needs to happen. I mean, there's a lot of things that, you know, the pay needs to step up, and these guys fighting, you know, on a UFC card and get 3,000 and 3,000 is just ridiculous. It's just, I mean, it's just not fair, you know. I mean, but you know, as long as the UFC's out there, you're gonna have guys that are willing to do that just so they can say they're in the UFC.
Obviously, this is a hot topic these days. That antitrust lawsuit being filed against UFC. Have you any interest in being a part of this?
Who says I'm not?
Oh, are you a part of it?
No comment.
No comment. Interesting. Well, then let me ask you, I mean, did you feel like you had trouble because it well documented that you did go over to Affliction, you had another place to go, and, you know, from all reports, you made a pretty good amount of money to fight Fyodor. So did you feel like you were being blocked there? Because on the surface, it would seem like the contrary.
I know I was being blocked.
After that fight?
After that fight, absolutely. There were sponsorships that were blocked. They were told they were never allowed to be sponsor any UFC fighter if they sponsored any Affliction fighters. The UFC bought out Affliction, took up all the fighters, and conveniently decided they didn't want to have me fight for them. But they had other guys that were on the Affliction path fight for them. I was definitely blocked, no doubt about it. True fact. So I don't know what more to say about that.
Okay, and why don't you want to comment on whether or not you're involved in the lawsuit? Why is it a secret?
It's not really a secret. I just need to spend more time going out and see what's going on, you know.
Okay, fair enough. By the way, when you started this career of yours that just ended on Saturday. I mean, honestly, did you ever think that you would enjoy the kind of career that you had? UFC champion, long undefeated run. When you started, what did you think?
Not at all. When I started, I was doing it for fun. I just loved to fight. It was fun. We competed. We had a good time doing it. And then after fight after fight after fight, and I kept being undefeated. I was kind of like, when I got ready to move to Iowa, I'm just like, my goal was to be in the UFC. I just like to be in the UFC. I think that'd be really cool to do, and to be in the UFC. I fought in the UFC once. It was awesome. It was incredible. And I really didn't have a chance to enjoy it like I would have liked to have, because they offered me a title shot, my second fight in the UFC. And, we all know how that went. I was a huge underdog. I went out there and knocked out the champion. And next thing you know, I'm the world champ, and I'm fighting title fights. So it was, I would have liked to have, reminisced and enjoyed it a little bit more, and fought 2 or 3 round fights before I fought for the world title. But I don't, can't take anything back. It was great. Everything worked out great for me, and I was one of the fortunate ones that got lucky and got a title shot and capitalized on it more than once.
There was a story written by my colleague Chuck Mindenhall recently about Bettendorf and Miletich and all that. And Monty Cox, your longtime manager, had a quote about you. Did you see this quote where he talked about when
he's got a lot of quotes about me, so you're gonna have to.
Okay, here it is. Here it is. He said, "I never saw him early on because he was always leaning over the garbage can puking. He was a fat tub of shit. He was 350 pounds unathletic. I said, 'What are you doing with this guy, Pat?' He said, 'I don't know. Him and Tony Fricklin were tied together, and they were like, please manage us.' I avoided it for as long as I could. I thought, I can take Tony, but what am I going to do with that big sack of shit? He's horrible." That was your manager. This is what he said about you.
That was all taken out of context.
It was.
It was a piece of shit fucking move from the douchebag that wrote that.
Okay.
Because as soon as that all came out, I called up manager. I called up Monty. I go, "What the hell is this?" He's like, "Tim, I am so sorry." He goes, "It was a weird situation." Monty's a huge jokester.
Right.
And he was just, joking around, and he thought he didn't really know he was on the record when he was talking to this guy. They were in his vehicle just basically shoot the shit, and this guy wrote all this up and said that stuff. And he goes, "Tim, I don't think of that of you. I'm the godfather of your son. I mean, you're one of the closest guys I'm with." He goes, "When I first saw you, did I think you were going to be the world UFC champ? No, absolutely not. But we noticed you had a hell of a drive and you were a tough guy. But we didn't think you were the UFC champion. No, but you proved us all wrong. You outworked every heavyweight in the gym, and a lot of the other guys that weren't even heavyweights. And look where it got you." So that was all taken out of context. You can tell your buddy that he's a moron. If I see him, I'd probably slap him for something like that.
Well, I mean, to be fair, he is one of my good friends and a great reporter. I have a hard time believing that, to be honest with you, because even if someone said something off the record, on the record, that still means that he said it. I mean, maybe he didn't want it to be public, but I have a hard time believing him changing the words.
Well,
right?
I think he did change the words a little bit, but...
Well, why would he do that, though? Why? I mean, I don't want to defend it. It's not my place to do that, but why would he want to paint you in a negative light? Why would he have an agenda? Why would he make up a quote about you?
Because everybody else does. Why would he be any different than anybody else?
I don't know. I have
a bad rep as it is. But, I mean, you could obviously get Monty Cox on the show. I mean, sure. I don't see why you guys wouldn't do that anyway and get his side of the story and see how he words it.
Okay, well, I'll talk to Monty about it. I mean, this is an old article, so I feel like I would have heard about it if that was in fact the case. But you mentioned this. Do you wish you had a better relationship with the fans? Because it's always been somewhat contentious.
No, I don't. I have some great fans, and I love everybody who's been so supportive of me. But if you don't want to hear the truth, then don't ask me. Basically, that's just the way that I am, and I don't bullshit anybody. If someone says, "Well, I look fat in this dress," and I think they look fat, I'm going to say yes. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say no, not at all. Just if you don't want to hear the truth and you're a suspect of it, then don't ask me.
Do you feel like at the end... Go ahead, sorry.
I just don't know if that's the right or wrong way to be, but you know what you're getting from me. There's no secrets.
Do you feel like at the end of the day, your legacy will be not so much that you were, just another UFC champion or whatever, but a guy who maybe did more with his limitations or his skills than many people thought at first? Like, in a sense, you are an inspiration to some of these guys who may come in and people are doubting them and think that they can't do it because of their body or whatever, and you overachieved. You overcame obstacles. Do you feel like that's your legacy in MMA as opposed to just another former champion, a guy who had a winning record, etc.? Do you get what I'm saying?
I think it should be. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was fortunate that I was surrounded by great people, great training partners, good teachers, and a lot of mentors. So I just tried to mimic them. Jens and I didn't have the best relationship in our place, but I really looked up to him, being a little shit that he is. I looked up to him because he worked hard. He outworked a lot of the guys in the gym, and I just thought if I could do half as that as being a heavyweight, then I would be successful. Matt Hughes, on the other hand, we didn't get along very good either at first, and then him and I became best friends. And when he was down and out, he needed a place to live. I let him in, move in with me and stuff. And Matt wasn't a high worker at all. Matt was just a gifted athlete in his era, strong, hell of a wrestler, and he would, train 1 week for a title fight, go in there and smash the guy. So obviously, I couldn't take after his work ethics. I had to go after, someone like Jensi.
Do you still keep in contact with any of those guys?
Yeah, I still talk to Matt, Jens. Jens is still in Iowa, so I'm actually the godfather of his son.
Oh wow.
So yeah, we're all still, I still talk to Robbie and stuff. Pat, we still work out together. Usually Pat works out on Monday and Tuesday. He's usually so busy with the commentating and all that stuff.
What was it like seeing Robbie finally get that belt?
Awesome. We all thought he won it the first time, and they kind of gave it to Hendricks, and then we really believed that he was going to do it the second time, and he did. Really looking forward to the third fight. I think it's going to be an awesome fight, and probably one of the best trilogies in UFC history.
Okay, final question. It's something I've always wanted to ask you, and I don't think I've ever asked you this, but anytime you see a fighter out and about with the belt, they say, oh, he's pulling a Tim Sylvia. Did you, in fact, used to walk around with the belt, go to clubs and things like that?
Only after a UFC fight.
Like immediately after?
Yeah, like if there was an after-fight party, I brought it. If I was ever at a UFC event, the UFC brought me in or something like that, I never did. It was only after I had won it, and then, like, when I beat Rico, I wore it out. And after I began, I did. I never did after that. So I think a lot of that was, stretched truth and so on and so forth. But, I was kind of a huge Tito Ortiz fan, and my first UFC event, I saw Tito, and that's what he was doing. I saw him doing that, and I thought that was cool as hell. So I was like, well, if I ever have the opportunity to win a world title, I'm going to do that too. And I did it a couple of times when I was over it.
All right, fair enough. There it is. Cleared it up. Tim, all the best to you. Thank you very much. Congratulations on a great career, and enjoy the farm, and appreciate you coming on for a few minutes.
No problem. Thank you. Take care.
There he is, Tim Sylvia, the Maniac. Interesting stuff out of him. Not one to mince words. I don't like to get into it too much, but I think he pretty much answered his own question there, or he rectified his own issue with the Monty Cox quote, because he's saying that Monty Cox told him, him being Chuck Mindenhall, this stuff off the record. Now, okay, that's its own issue, but that doesn't mean that he didn't say it. Sometimes you may be upset that something is said. if it was said off the record, but you're more upset because it brings out a certain part of you or your feelings that you didn't want to get out there. So maybe that's why he was upset. But I know Chuck for a long time, one of the very best, top 3 in my opinion. So I don't think he's one to make up quotes or even take things out of context or put something in there that's off the record that is now in the article. I mean, he's not that guy. So I feel the need to weigh in on that one, even though I pretty much did in the interview with Tim, but worth repeating again. Thank you very much to Tim Sylvia. All the best to him in the future.